I had it for like 3 years at that point and started getting like bumps. How do you prevent bumps when it comes to your nipple piercing? What the piercer told me is to use, it would start bleeding every single time. And I'm like, can you please hold your weight? He couldn't hold his fucking weight. Like, I literally had to put my knees to my chest. I had to learn how to do that. Like, I literally was like, I don't even know if I could show that. So there was that distance going to put friction on my belly. Hi goddesses. In this video, I'm going to be talking about piercings, body piercings, as well as tattoos. So if you are someone that is thinking about like getting tattoos, getting your nipple pierced, thinking about getting your belly pierced, if you're someone that has melanated skin, you're black specifically, and you're thinking about getting tattoos in color, maybe that wasn't even a thought, I'm here to put you on game. I have colored tattoos. I have one right here, and I have one on my finger, and my shoulder is completely colored with tattoos. So with that being said, I'm going to be sharing all the insight of what I have learned when it comes to piercings as well as tattoos, because I've had them for 10 plus years now. Let's just dive right in. So specifically, how long have I had my nipple pierced for? I've had my nipple pierced, only one, for 10 years now. And then when it comes to my belly piercing, I've had my belly pierced for about like 6 years, almost 7 years now. And then when it comes to tattoos, I got my very first tattoo when I was 18. And that one is on my hip. They've healed really great and gracefully. So I have no bumps when it comes to piercings, and as well as like no discoloration when it comes to, well, I shouldn't say discoloration. Tattoos are gonna fade naturally. So that's just a little FYI. So I'm gonna get into a little backstory when it comes to each one of my piercings. And I'm gonna start off with the nipple piercing, because I know there are probably people out there that really want to get their nipple pierced and they wanna learn about nipple piercing. So I'm here to share all that information. Why I got my nipple pierced. Everybody's, reason to why they want to get their nipple pierced is different. So I have been small chested all my life. To be honest with y'all, like I just hit an A cup like this year. I've never ever, like when I say that I only had nipples for boobs, what the I'm not joking. I literally only had nipples for boobs. Like, I'm not kidding. This was back in 2016 when I got my nipple pierced. And the reason to why is because I was very insecure. But I only have one. I do not have the both of them pierced. And the reason why I decided to get one nipple pierced is because I didn't want to rely on my nipple piercings to feel beautiful within my body. I also am going to sit here and say like Rihanna, she only had one nipple pierce, and I thought that was so cool. I don't need the both of them because, again, where I am mentally about my chest, like, again, I was very insecure. I was like, I don't want to rely on feeling like I'm only beautiful with my nipple piercing. So that's why I only got one done, and I'm really happy with getting one of them done, and I've kept it in, like I said, for 10 years. Then when it comes to my belly piercing, I will admit that like when I got it done, I've had a lot of stomach issues. Also, like I will admit that like I wasn't really like super confident in my stomach. I am now, I am a pole instructor, I'm a pole dancer, so my body is a lot more fit. But this was before my body was like really fit. I got this in 2019. So this was just before I really started like my pole journey. And I was like, I wouldn't say it was like really insecure, but I always wanted to get my belly pierced. My roommate that I lived with, she was like, just get your belly pierced. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you want it, just go do it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my belly pierced. And yeah, that is my backstory when it comes to my nipple piercing and my belly piercing. So let's get into the backstory of my tattoos. When I was 14, I knew I wanted to get tattoos. I remember the very first like henna tattoo that I got was on my rib cage. I was probably 17. And I remember coming home because I went to the beach with my friends and I showed like my parents. I was like, oh my God, I got a tattoo. They were like, no, you didn't. I was like, yeah, no, I didn't. But I told them that. I was like, listen, I am someday and whatever. My mom was like, never for it. But my dad was like, kind of was like, whatever about it. He was like, once you turn 18, you can do whatever you want. Okay.
Oh, say less.
The very first tattoo that I ever got is on my hip. So when I turned 18, I was in college, I always knew that I wanted to get tattoos. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I will sit here and share is knowing what you want, knowing that you want to get a tattoo. It shouldn't be something that you kind of like think about like in the spur of the moment of like, oh, everybody's doing or whatever. I knew at 14 that I wanted to get tattoos. So just want to make that clear. So now we're going to jump into all the facts and tips when it comes to piercings. But the first piercing that we're going to start off with is the nipple piercing. When it comes to the nipple piercing, I want to sit here and make this clear. Everybody's journey when it comes to a nipple piercing is going to be different. Just for y'all to know, when it comes to like the nipple piercing and like facts, they say that the nipple piercing heals between 6 months to a year. But I want to make this clear, the nipple piercing does not actually ever heal. So I want to make that very clear, because a lot of people are under the impression, just when it comes to like your belly piercing, your ear piercing or whatever, you can take out an ear piercing or a belly piercing for like months and then like put another one in and it's fine. That is not the case for nipple piercing. Your nipple piercing doesn't actually heal. And I have a perfect story. Again, everybody's journey is different and everybody's body is different. When I got my nipple pierced at 7 months, I was like, okay, I want to change my piercing. So what I do when I go to change my piercing is I do the push through method, where I bring the new one and I push it through. So this was 7 months, you guys. It's been healing, no blood. Some people can even change it after a month. When I went to go do that push through method, one, my piercing came out, and the one that I was trying to push through, it was so painful. I couldn't do it, so I stopped for a good 2 hours. Then I went to go back to try and push it through. The hole closed up. It closed up. I was so mad and I was so sad. So I called my friend up and I was like, hey, can you take me to the piercing place that we went to? And she was like, yeah. I show them and they say, on the good side, on a good note, they were like, okay, like it did close up. We obviously know you were here a couple months ago. Can we pierce it for you for free? Okay, that was the plus, right? But then it was the process of them reopening a wound, you guys. It was the worst pain in the world. I damn near almost passed out. I'm not kidding. When it comes to your body, every body is different, okay? Like I have a friend that she got them both done and she said it didn't hurt her. Getting a nipple pierce is painful. Again, if you're just one of those people that don't really feel pain, then you're probably not gonna feel anything at all. But being someone that does feel pain, the first time I got a pierce, obviously it was painful, but literally reopening a wound, no. I'm now going to get into some tips to share with you goddesses so you don't go through the experience that I went through. And this is literally what the nipple piercer told me. I'm like, why did it, close up so quickly? Like, obviously I know it was healing, but they were like, it actually never heals. Like after a year, like once you like let it fully heal and stuff, if you take out the nipple piercing, it's gonna start closing up because it's tissue that expands. Babies drink from it. It heals itself naturally and really, really quickly. And I was like, that makes so much sense. So just to make that clear to y'all, like it doesn't actually ever heal, you know what I'm saying? Ever. So just FYI, like depending on how long you have your nipple piercing, you have to understand that like as you grow and your body changes, so does your nipple piercing. And I don't know what shifted or changed in my body, but I started to get a bump. Specifically on this side of my boob, I started to get a bump and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? I was living in Los Angeles and I found a piercing place and I went there and they told me that it's normal for you to get bumps. So if you are someone that is watching this video and you're thinking about it or you already have it and you just wanna, learn more, be aware that you are going to get bumps. This is what the piercer did tell me. There's a few reasons to why, you get bumps. One, your body just changes and it just happens. There's not really like a specific reason, but it just changes. Another thing, so if you are being physical with someone and you let them put it in their mouth, please make sure that their mouth is clean, okay? Because just as well as like, if you're getting freaky deaky and whatever, and someone goes down on you or is sucking on your boob, their mouth needs to be clean. So if they're not, that's how you can get bumps. I was in a relationship at this time too, And even though we had been like physical and whatever, I had it for like 3 years at that point, and my body just started to like react differently and started getting like bumps. So how do you prevent bumps? I'm here to share that insight with you when it comes to your nipple piercing. What the piercer told me is to use chamomile, like actually using the tea bag chamomile. So when I started to do that, within a couple of days, I would say within a week, the bump started to go away and it started to disappear. And I was like, oh my God, like it actually worked, okay? I also want to share something else that I thought was very interesting. So at this point, it is like 6 years I've had my nipple pierced, and I started to get a bump. Even though I really was not physical anymore at this point in time, this bump would come a week before my period started. So I know this is like so weird, but again, like I said, the longer that you have like piercings for, especially a nipple piercing, your body's gonna change, and so is your nipple piercing. So I learned that bump that would show up a week before my period, it was like a telltale sign my period was about to start, and it would go away. So that's something that I feel like nobody either talks about or maybe has not really experienced. Or literally I would get a bump a week before my period and then the bump would go away. So now I'm going to get into cleaning your piercings and how to keep up with cleaning your piercings. So obviously when you first get these piercings, like your belly pierce or your nipple piercing, you have to use like antibacterial soap, okay? And then doing like sea salt. Like sea salt cleanses is really good for your nipple piercing, belly piercing, any piercing. It's really, really good. But this is something, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I literally talked to my friend and she told me about this because she got this information from other piercers. Dr. Bronner's Pure Castile soap is what is really, really great for your piercings. This is a soap that I use on my nipple piercing and my belly piercing. That this cleanses my piercings, both of them. It's like the best thing to use. This is like after your piercings has healed, you need to still keep up with cleaning them because you're going to get crusties. I still get crusties 10 years, 6 years, still get crusties, okay? So this soap in particularly helps with cleaning my nipple piercings. Using regular soap, I have noticed specifically with my nipple piercing and with my belly piercing too, is like when I use normal soap, I noticed that it starts to get really like sensitive and I can like feel when it's not clean. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of a raw feeling where I'm like, okay, I can tell that my belly piercing and my nipple pierce are not clean because it's a raw feeling. When I use Dr. Bronner Pure Castile soap, dilute it if you decide to get the big bottle, but I just bought the bar soap. And the bar soap is like really, really great, which is like for $4 if you do not want to buy like that $10 thing. But if you do, dilute it. And the way that I dilute it is by rubbing it in my hands. And then when I'm in the shower, I cup it and I let the water fill in, you know what I'm saying, to clean those piercings. That's how I do it. This hand motion is how I clean my piercings, with using that Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. But point blank period, when I use that, I feel like my piercings are clean. Because if I'm just using like a regular soap, like I said, after a couple of days, it gets this like raw, non-clean feeling, and I can't explain it any other way. That's what's happened with my nipple piercing. I hope that definitely helps. And now we're gonna jump into belly piercings. So when it comes to the belly piercings, like I said, like the Dr. Bronner soap is really good for your nipple piercings as well as your belly piercing, okay? In my belly piercing experience so far, like I don't really have anything like negative to say about it at all. I literally just changed my belly piercing after 6 years, you guys. And I don't know if y'all can really see it, but this is my jewelry. I got it from Temu, which is so, I just love Temu so much. I love their jewelry, and even just changed my nipple piercing jewelry too. But with that being said, definitely check out jewelry from Temu. I will link them in the description, especially if you want this belly piercings. The pain tolerance, I would say, is kind of like in the middle. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt. It definitely does hurt, but it doesn't compare to my nipple piercing. I'm gonna be real, but it still does hurt a little bit. My belly piercing experience was pretty good, but here's a couple of things that I definitely want to share with y'all. I do lay on my stomach when I sleep. You don't, then that's great. You're not gonna have to worry about this. When I got my belly pierced, it was really hard. I could not like sleep on my stomach because I'm a stomach sleeper. If you are a stomach sleeper, you're not gonna be able to sleep on your stomach because it's going to hurt, you know? Of course, like prepare yourself for that. Like you're gonna sleep on your side, you're gonna sleep on your back and whatever, but like I just want to make that very clear. And when it comes to being freaky deaky, I want to make this clear. At this time, the person I was dating, I'm not even going to get like too in depth with it. Trauma. But like this person would literally weigh their whole body on me. And mind you, they were like 200 pounds. And I'm like, I put on some weight, but at the time it was probably like barely 100 pounds. And this dude was big, and he would literally like weigh his body on me. So when we were physical, that friction, he would like with my stomach. It would start to like bleed and stuff. I would literally tell this guy like, can you hold your weight? Anyway, that's just... You're not dealing with someone like putting your weight on you. You're going to be fine. Like I literally had to put my knees to my chest. I had to learn how to do that so he wouldn't put friction on I'm not kidding you guys. Like I literally was hey. I don't even know if I could show that. My knees were to my chest because it would start bleeding every single time. And I'm like, can you please hold your weight? He couldn't hold his fucking weight. Big back, big back, big back, big back. Yeah, my back. And I had to like put my knees to my chest so there was that distance and he wasn't going to put friction. I know it's fucking embarrassing and gross. Like now that I think back to it, don't be physical with someone that doesn't know how to fucking hold their weight. If they're like 200 pounds and you're like 90. But I just want to sit there and share that if you do plan on being physical with someone during the time of the healing process, make sure that they hold their own weight. And on top of that, if you have to, you're going to have to put your knees to chest so there's that distance so you don't have that friction, because it will bleed and it will take longer to heal. Because your belly piercing, I believe it's supposed to like heal within 6 to 8 months. Yeah, it probably took a lot longer for me. After I was done with that person, it was able to fully heal properly and all that and more. Even after 6 years, like I'm just looking at it right now, there's still like a little bit of crusties. And also be aware of the jewelry that you do use, because that is going to play a part. No matter how long you have your belly piercing for, or even your nipple piercing, there are always going to be some sort of crusties and some sort of goo. But if you're like kind of worried about it, like definitely go to a piercer, have them look at it and tell you. Like always, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, like always go to a piercer and ask what they think and all that and more. And now we're going to jump into tattoos. So when it comes to tattoos, I got my very first tattoo when I was like 19, which is like right here on my hip. To make this clear for someone, like I said in the beginning of this video, if you are someone that has melanated skin and you are thinking about getting tattoos but you want to have color in them, fear not. It is very possible for you to get colored tattoos. So I'm gonna show you my tattoo, which is on my shoulder. My tattoo, it has color in it, as you can see. When it comes to tattoos, I'm very, very intentional about every tattoo that I have on my body, and even the person that is tattooing me. So when I decided to get like this tattoo specifically, told the artist that I'm like, I want to get color, but I don't know if that's like possible because I have melanated skin. And she was not my complexion, she was Caucasian, but she was like, no, like you can totally get color and the color is going to pop. This, mind you, I want to sit here and make this clear, this tattoo I got about like, how long has my dad been gone? It's been like 8 years, because I got this tattoo before my father passed. She made it very clear to me that like you can get color tattoo and the colors are still going to pop. But as y'all saw, you saw the color, and I also have color right here, and then I have one on my finger, which is a heart. Okay, and these are in red. When it comes to like color tattoos, depending on who you are, like I actually think it's really cool that like it's kind of like faded a little bit, but you can like see it. Color tattoos will fade. All tattoos are gonna fade at some point. Even this one that I have on my hand, it has like faded a little bit, but it's still very like pronounced, you know? And I think it's very important to go to a tattoo artist that you know that one, their work is really good, there's someone that you can trust and all that and more. I'm gonna go into like how to take care of your tattoos and cleanse them and all that and more. So when it comes to tattoos, it is very important for you to have A&D ointment, which is pretty much like a baby ointment. So you're going to use A&D ointment, and then as well using antibacterial soap. Those are the two things that you need in order to keep up and keep your tattoos healing properly and keeping them clean. When you go into the shower, you are not going to drench your tattoos in the water. When I had gotten my tattoo on my shoulder, I made sure that only this side of my body like was getting drenched with water, and I let water, throw some water over it, because I forgot like the science behind it specifically, but it's just not good for you to drench. When you get a tattoo, it's an open wound. That body part specifically that you have tattooed, you can like cover up with some plastic, and you can like go in the shower and, you know, wash your body and all that and more, but you still need to like cleanse it though. You still need to cleanse it, which will be with antibacterial soap. And then once you come out of it, you're going to put a thin layer of A&D ointment. Like, make that clear to not overlay too much A&D ointment, because it could have a negative effect to your tattoo. So just put a thin layer onto it and keep it out of the sun. So now we're gonna dive into how, after it's healed, how to keep it vibrant. So one of the biggest things that I'm going to say in order to keep your tattoos like very vibrant is to keep it out of the sun as much as you can. Obviously, sunscreen is going to be really, really great. Now, I have heard that there are tattoo sunscreens and stuff like that. And on top of that, like just making sure, like if you're at a beach, I have like a spine tattoo, which by the way was the most painful tattoo that I have. I make sure to like kind of like cover it, you know, if I'm at the beach or whatever, with a jacket, or like cover it with a hair on my shoulder or something like that. But again, definitely wear sunscreen on those tattoos so they won't like fade. The tattoo that I have on my shoulder, as well as like on my rib cage, I have one on my rib cage as well. Like this one is like probably about 7 years ago too, and the line work is very, very thick, and it seems like it's pretty fresh, you know, depending on like the tattoo artist, their line work and how deep they go is what's going to really keep that work popping, if that makes sense. So be very intentional about artists that you go to. And a prime example, like I have one on my forearm right here, and it's kind of faded a little bit, but it still looks clean, I'm not gonna lie. But the thing is, the artist was really, really like gentle with it. So this one is like definitely like faded compared to, put it side by side, you can see a huge difference. And these are two different artists. So this artist, she did my shoulder too, thick, you know, and it looks crisp and clean. This still looks crisp and clean, but it's fading, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, like after I got it, it kind of faded a little bit quickly. But I've had it for about, I want to say 4 years now. And I definitely want to get it re-inked because it's faded compared to the rest of my tattoos. So, and mind you, the artist is really great. I love this artist, but again, because he was very like gentle, I think that's why it kind of like faded, because it really didn't penetrate in the skin. My color tattoo, the most color I have is on my shoulder. So I had this tattoo for good, I want to say like 3 years. And I don't know what happened. And I did some research on this. My body, like on my shoulders, started to like weld up in the color areas, which was so weird to me. Mind you, I had this tattoo already for like 3 years. And I was like, what's going on? What I had learned is like when it comes to ink, and especially if it's colored ink, your body can react to it negatively and reject the ink. This was so weird to me. 3 years later, you guys, it was like welted up. And then even in the moon, some places in the moon was welted up, and specifically it was yellow for me. So obviously this one welted up because it has yellow in it, and then places on the moon had yellow in it, and it was like welting up. It went away, but with my research, it was saying that like sometimes later on in life, your body just reacts to it like differently. If you don't know, like when you get like tattoos, like your body is actually fighting the ink. If you didn't know, there's a video about it and I thought it was so interesting, but your body is naturally fighting the ink. 3 years later, it just decided to start fighting the ink that was on my body, and it wilted up, and I was like, what is going on? Probably like a couple of weeks later, it finally went away and I never had that issue again. But I think for that like kind of year, I don't know why 3 years later, it kind of just like fluctuated a little bit, and it wasn't anything like crazy, but it was like bumps, and like it wilted up a little bit, and it was strange to me. I don't know if I have any pictures, but it was strange. But then after that, like, I guess like year, it just stopped. So just want to put that out there. But again, with researching it, I was like, okay, why did it happen 3 years later? I don't know. So I just wanted to share that with you goddesses, because that is something I think is strange, but it is very possible because it happened to me. But my shoulder is fine now. Again, the jewelry from Temu, one, great quality. I've had no like weird reactions. If you are sensitive, make sure before you do put on your jewelry to soak it in alcohol. This is very key. Soak all your jewelry overnight in alcohol, and then when you go to put it on, you know what I'm saying, you should be okay. But don't ever like actually put in the jewelry. If you have sensitive skin, if you are someone that's like, you don't have sensitive skin, you don't have to worry about it. But someone like me, I have sensitive skin, but I always just make sure to like just clean my jewelry, especially if it's new, before I put it on. So I wanted to share that with you goddesses, because the jewelry, like I said, on Temu is like really cute. I'm a Temu girly. Also, like this shirt and this top is from Temu as well. I love Temu. I love Temu. So, and definitely check out this video next. If you want to hear like the full on story about my nipple piercing, definitely check out this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.